Needed podcast. We're about to talk about some grown man stuff today. Got my guy Mel in the building. Before I get to him, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe, like, and comment on this video. Watch to the end. I know sometimes people don't want to stick through an entire 30 plus minutes of a podcast, but break it up into your days. Start your morning with it, end your night with it, whatever it is. Like, I guarantee you guys are going to learn something by tuning into the end of this. And who knows, maybe we'll have like a special like giveaway. Usually I like to do something like that with my guests. So just be on the lookout for that. But without further ado, let's introduce Mel Wade.
Yep.
How's everything?
Everything's going good, man.
So for those that don't know, I'm actually going to be tagging all his Instagram handles. Are you just on Instagram or are you on other platforms as well?
I mean, I'm on other platforms, but like Instagram is my main platform.
Which other ones are you on?
I'll post on TikTok here and there, and I tweet here and there. But on all those other apps, for the most part, I'm just like what's the word? I'm just watching for the most part. Like I enjoy Twitter for like the laughs and the jokes, but I don't really tweet super often. But Instagram is where you can catch most of my content.
You know what's funny about Twitter? I don't post often, but when I do, there's a bunch of retweets just because like it's very viral like that. And then TikTok, I've tried to get into it, man, but it's a little tedious for me. I think I should have started when my wife told me, but you know, we don't listen until like somebody else tells us.
TikTok is a little bit harder for us because we're also married men, so it's like we can't really give off too much sex appeal because people are gonna be like, "What are you doing? You're married." Right. And then it's like, you know, it's just so hard for us to grow from that perspective because
that's kind of the shit that people want too. You know, like it seems like that's kind of like what's hitting. My little brother actually, he's a little more consistent with TikTok, but it's all thirst trap stuff. So I mean, it's trending for him. But yeah, let's just get into that, man. For those that don't know you, just explain a little bit about your background, who you are, what you do. I know that your wife also does social media. Some people here that are going to be viewing follow her, I'm sure, and my wife, they're friends, and that's how we met. So that's just a little backstory, quick backstory on how I met Mel. So just go ahead and explain.
So, yeah, my name is Mel. My full name is Kwamel Wade. I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio, and I'm just an overall content creator. I do photography, videography. I enjoy, like, cinematic videos, so I like to make my like stuff feel kind of more like a movie or, you know, not your like ordinary reels or TikToks. I do all the behind the scenes stuff for my wife. I edit all her videos. I take all her pictures and I set up her cameras and things like that.
Nice.
And we're just overall just a team. We work together and I'm a dad. I have a 2-year-old son and I have 2 twins on the way, a boy and a girl. So I'm super excited for that. Like, by Christmas, my life is going to be completely different. Yeah,
confirmed,
boy and a girl. Yeah,
confirmed boy and a girl. That's dope, man. You're gonna get a brother and then a sister for your son. So that's good to hear. Happy for you guys. That's exciting. It's funny because when we had the kids, you know, we wanted kids as twins. For some reason, we always played with the idea. But pretty much, Max and Camila are twins. They're Irish twins, actually. That's the term for it. They're 11 months apart. And yeah, man, you guys are gonna love it. Like I was telling you earlier, they just take care of each other. They just have this special bond. They wake up at the same time, which is going to be easy in a way for you guys because you're going to notice that you guys are doing everything the same for them at the same time, you know? So even better that they're at the exact same age. So that's cool, man. How are you guys feeling with all that? Like, how are you guys preparing for it? You know, how's your wife doing?
I mean, honestly, I don't even know if there's a way to prepare for it. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things that once they're here, it's just kind of like with our first child, like we were so nervous and kind of like so scared. And then once he was born, it's like a switch goes off in your brain where you're like, all right, I'm a parent now. And you just kind of sort of understand more things. And so I feel like that's how it's going to be for us. One of the main things we continue to say is that we're like, man, I know like these next few months once they're born, it's going to be tough. But in like 4 to 5 years, we're going to be so happy that like we were able to get 2 for 1 and now we're done. Like we don't have to worry about getting pregnant again or have more kids in the future. So
that's confirmed no more, right?
Yeah, no, not no more. I'm probably going to get a vasectomy, to be honest.
Yeah, that might be the move for me too soon, man. I mean, we want more, but honestly, at the same time, we have to be realistic. Like, do we really want more? I mean, we have the pair already. And Max and Camila are going to be 3 and 4 already. So, I mean, really, by the time that you have the next baby, you're already talking about 5. So, I don't know if we want that gap. When it start, it's almost like we're finally getting rid of that baby toddler stage. So, to be able to kind of go back to it, I don't know. But we might have more kids in the future if we maybe wait a little bit more. Because Blanca loves being a mom. I love being a dad. I think anything that I do, you know, I like to put full effort. But being a dad is for sure, like, my #1 priority. And even you know, when we moved out here, man, that was like my first, you know, prior to that, I did take a little bit of a break from cutting. I was only doing like 3 times a week just to be more involved and understand, you know, because not a lot of guys have that privilege to be able to take that time. And then other guys don't really care to. So we do have to talk about that too. But as I moved, it was just straight up dad mode. And then we were in the pandemic. So it was full on, bro. Like I understood completely like how the moms out there do it, man. So shout out to all the moms for sure. You know, they don't get enough credit, but it's just crazy. And then I was like, okay, I got to get back on my own stuff now. Right. The kids are cool and stuff. So how's that been for you, just becoming a dad? And, you know, I know you do a lot, you know, with your son, you're very involved. You guys spend time together and stuff. So maybe for somebody out there that's trying to make more time, make up for lost time, or just in general a new parent to be like, what would you say is some good advice for them?
I mean, honestly, what I say is just not to try too hard. You know, your kid is going to know, they're going to be able to tell when you love them, they're going to feel it. So you don't really have to like force the subject or like do anything extra. Just love them the way that you would want to be loved, and you know, it's going to be reciprocated. And I feel like that's, like you were saying with the pandemic and being able to spend more time with them and things like that. Like at first we were so upset that we were having to give birth through the pandemic. Like Vaughn was born, my son Kayvon, he was born on really the start of the pandemic. Like I remember when we went to the hospital, everything was fine, everything was normal. And then it hit midnight and they were like, whatever guest is in this room has to stay with you until you leave the hospital. You can't switch guests. Like, at first, when we got there, like I would be in there for an hour or two, and then her mom would come in for an hour or two, and then we'd switch, and then literally hit midnight, and they're like, no more switching, one guest all the way to the end. And at first, we were so upset, but then it ended up being like a positive because we were able to just enjoy those days in the hospital, like completely like in our own world and just chilled, and we didn't have to worry about too many people visiting and passing Kayvon around too much. We got to just enjoy that time. So it was nice for that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, when it comes to kids, like once they're born, if you have any type of nerves, once they're born, that paternity and maternal instinct just really kicks in, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. That's the way I feel. You know, the funny thing is, I've said it before on here, I believe, is my wife didn't really know how I was going to be as a dad because I was always, it was hard for me to show affection. Not necessarily affection, but I just didn't really like understand how to express my feelings to where they feel the love, you know, like everybody feels love in a different way. But even though like, I know I was fully like in love and I could show it in my own way, it was just, it's different. The girls want certain type of things. Right. So she was like, damn, how are you going to be as a dad? Like we got past all that, but you know, now it was like a child involved. So like, how is that going to be? But man, I mean, the switch turned on instantly, like as soon as Max was born, and then it went on from there. But Camila was born a few months prior to the pandemic. So I mean, low-key, she didn't see the outside world until like months in. Because, you know, at times we had to step out of the house, you know, to be able to get out and all that. But I still remember those first times where she was actually out. I was like, man, you know, she got like the rough end of the stick. But, you know, the kids are good, man. So I'm sure some people will enjoy like that advice and stuff. So now with a boy and a girl on the way, you know, I'm excited to see how you guys go about it and stuff. And I'm sure you guys will adapt, you know. So back to the work part, just explain to them like what your content consists of for yourself, and also like as a I mean, you guys do the family channel thing, or how's that?
I mean, we essentially do the family channel. You know, when I met my wife, she was already pretty established as a YouTuber. I think she was around like 400, 500K subscribers. So she was pretty established already. Once I met her, she had her fan base. She had people who liked her, and there are a lot of people who were like, who is this guy? Like, you know, we don't really care for him and things like that. But over time, obviously, people started to come around, and
that happens.
Yeah, and so I feel like with her, that's why we've never changed the name to like the Wade Family Channel or anything like that on YouTube, because I still want her to be able to have her platform to post the content that she wants to post, and it's not like I'm obligated to be in every video or like, you know, things like that. People still want to see her makeup content. People still want to see her doing just things as a mom and not as a wife all the time, or not with me being involved. And so I want her to be able to keep that, you know, for herself. And so that's why we've never changed. But then myself personally, a lot of my content before my son was born was just more fashion, lifestyle content, showing like my outfits and things that I do.
Yeah, you're fly, man. I like your stuff, you know. It's different, but it's like those that know, they know, you know. So Maybe you could just talk about a little bit on that as far as like what brands, because guys, honestly, they don't know how to dress. You know, a lot of guys don't understand how to coordinate stuff. So what are just some tips, not necessarily like where you get your stuff at, but just some tips, like if somebody's trying to kind of like upgrade their wardrobe, or anything like that, what do you think are some like must-haves? And then just kind of explain like a process of how to make their closet like better.
Okay. So if I were to be rebuilding, or if I walked into a person's closet and it was completely empty and they wanted me to help them rebuild their wardrobe, the first thing I would do is we go out and buy bottoms. So pants, shorts, things with patterns, things with different textures, but we're going to be focusing on the pants, because if I throw on pants with like textured flowers, patched all over them, and with the basic white tee with nothing on it, it's still going to look like a nice outfit.
For sure,
because the pants are speaking so loud for themselves. And the reason I say pants over like a loud shirt is because like I said, shirts are easy. You can literally throw on a shirt like this with blue jeans. Like shirts is easy.
Yeah.
But having like a nice range of different colored and different textured pants really elevates your outfits. And also keeping like basic shoes like the Air Force Ones, or like a basic shell toe Adidas, like the basic shoes that really you can dress up, dress down. You can.
That's what you got on right now, right?
The shell toes. I have on some shell toes.
Those are like my first favorite pair of shoe right there.
Right, and that's a good shoe that you can wear. Like you could wear it with a nice crop pant, with the button up, and go on a date, or you can also wear baggy pants with those. And
yeah. So
just putting things in your closet that have more than one look to it. You can dress it up, dress it down is very important.
Nice. Yeah. That's sometimes what happens when we do like the spring cleaning, get rid of shit. It's like, okay, like let me do it right this time. So I haven't got too many pants, but I have been working with the ones I haven't, tried to tailor them to like my liking. So do you tailor your stuff?
I don't as much as I should. I definitely, once you mentioned that is definitely a big thing, especially if you buy things and like oftentimes it might fit perfect in the waist, but not how you want it. Like at the ankles and things like that, that's definitely a major tip.
I literally just dropped one off right now, so that's why I mentioned it. So for those that don't know, it's literally just alteration. You could go to like a dry cleaners, typically they do it, and it's just a subtle touches, but some pants that I took, they were a little too long. Everything was perfect from the waist up to the knee, but everything past the knee was not working. But you don't realize like when you do have a good pair of pants, like that's all you really need, because it sits perfect. It goes with different stuff. So I'm excited to see how those come out. But that's good, man. I'm sure some people will enjoy, those little tips. I think, I've talked with people about fashion and stuff on here, but not necessarily to that point. So a lot of times, typically, it's the girls trying to get the guy, boyfriend or husband to kind of dress different or do anything like that. So I think a lot of guys are scared, man. I mean, what would be your advice on that? Did your style change a lot throughout the years?
Yeah, I mean, my style has definitely changed throughout the years. Like I remember when I was in college, like I used to feel so, kind of insecure about my outfits compared to like my teammates and friends that I was going out with. I'm like, I look at myself and I just didn't feel like my outfits were like fresh, up to par with them, so it just really took time for me to find myself. And you just have to let go of trends, really. Like, trends in fashion, it's not really a thing. Fashion is just like art to me. It's something that's subjective. So if I want to dress like I'm living in 1972 every day, I can do that. As long as you're rocking it with confidence, nobody's going to look at you like, this guy is like...
No, yeah.
Because you can tell, especially out here in California, everybody kind of respects people's own, like, lane and their own, like...
sense of style,
sense of style. And that's one thing I really, really like about California as compared to me being from Columbus, Ohio. Like, some of the outfits I wear here, if I were to wear it in Columbus, everybody would be staring at me like... Not necessarily for a bad reason, but they might assume that I'm like some huge celebrity or somebody other than who I am just because of the way that I'm dressed.
Yeah, I agree. Normal. Yeah, I agree. LA definitely has that open feeling of being able to just like be whoever you want to be and dress however you want to dress. My wife and I have always been into it, but back home, we felt like we had to kind of like tone it down a notch just because we didn't want that extra attention. And it's not like we're going crazy, honestly. It's just more so like, hey, why are you wearing that? Like I would go literally to the shop, bro, and I would just dress up a little bit. They're like, oh, what you dressed up for? And I'm like, man, I mean,
it's just to make you feel good.
Know what I mean?
Want to look good.
Yeah, I mean, the shit. If you go to a barber and he's dressed up clean, you're gonna be like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. So
I mean, I think dressing is important for everything. It's a first impression. Like if you're doing, I used to do door-to-door sales like way back in the day. Like I've had so many jobs, but I did door-to-door sales and I would always dress nice. And it's because if I'm knocking on your door and you open it and you see a well-dressed person, you're going to be more inclined to listen to what I have to say.
For sure. Looks are super important, man. Definitely just self-care and taking care of yourself, investing in those things. I mean, it's your image, you know, so that's why I you know, even sometimes if we are at home, still try to dress up and feel good. I mean, even for your wife, you know, you want to be able to still like remind her like, yo, you know, this is who you're with, you know, don't forget it.
Yeah, right.
No, but for real. So how's your relationship with Nas actually? And I know you guys said Ohio, so both of you guys met there?
Yeah, we met in Ohio. She moved here first, and then after a couple months of me just visiting, going back to Ohio, going back, I just came, visited one time, and I never went back. And we just started our life here.
That's cool, man. So how long were you guys dating for until you actually got married?
We were dating for about 3 years before we actually got married.
Okay, so it was a minute.
Yeah.
And going back a little bit more, you say you were in college?
Yeah, I went to college for 1 year. I just found out that it really wasn't for me. I just didn't enjoy it. Even with basketball, it was just something I'm just like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
You know, I ended up taking what was supposed to be a year off, and I got like a real job, like actually making money for the first time. And I was like, I'm not going back to school.
It's funny because I played ball too when I loved it. It was my first passion for sure. I mean, art was, and then it was basketball. That was like, okay, I'm fully invested in this. And, you know, I did the YMCA, whatever, just to get my feet wet.
Yeah.
And that shit was good. You know, I was killing it, but it wasn't competitive to the point where you got to play the full court. It was just half court.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'm killing it. As soon as I joined high school, no other experience like an AAU or travel team. So as soon as I hit high school, I wasn't the top player. Right. I was a role player, and that was an adjustment. But now that I've gotten older and I see how basketball is in the leagues, like those guys that come in from college don't always have those big roles anymore. So you have to adjust, you know, and it was very hard for me, man, because that first year I didn't really get a lot of playing time. Yeah. I was getting full court press, and it was a little difficult for me, and the coaching wasn't that great. Fast forward, my sophomore year, I worked in the summertime. I got into an AAU team. I got better. I was getting more playing time my sophomore year. I was doing good. But as soon as I got a job, to your point, it was like, okay, I'm making money. I'm a sophomore in high school.
Right.
I'm not going to the league or nothing. So let me just stop right here, you know? So is that kind of what happened for you? Like you just started making some bread and then
I dropped out and I started working at Chase. So like I'm getting like real checks. I'm working next to people who like have kids, who have families. So like I'm getting like real money. Yeah. And so I was like I can't go back to school and like leave this job just to go back. And you know, I already didn't like school as it was, so I'm like,
didn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm like, I should just keep working, keep making money.
That's cool, man. So as far as like now fast forwarding to being out here, how do you like it? How do you like LA overall, like in terms of lifestyle compared to Ohio?
I mean, I love LA. I love it's pretty fast paced. I feel like everybody always is doing something. And there's a lot of creatives here, and there's a lot more motivation, especially with the weather alone. I mean, there's motivation. Once it hit winter in Columbus, like you don't even want to leave the house. You don't really want to do anything. It was hard for us to film.
It's a wrap, yeah.
Yeah, it was just so tough. So being out here, and then like I said, everybody seems to be more accepting here.
Yeah, there was this reel that I saw, and it was this motivational speaker, and he was talking about that he decided to move to SoCal, and he was gonna pay $11K in rent, but his wife actually was sick. I forgot what she had, but she actually needed like literally the sun for her sickness. And she was going crazy about like him paying that much money. But he says, I'd rather pay that than lose you, because like in Michigan, I can't make the sun come out in February and January and March. And it's just crazy how much the weather has to do with it. But we recently went to a few places, and every time we come back to LA, it's just nice weather, and you just feel that inspiration to keep going day to day, man. So I agree with you on that. But just moving on, man, let's talk a little bit about just, I really wanted this episode to touch on the parenting and also like being committed. You know, I want to say we're very similar in that sense. We're very to ourselves. We're into similar things, but we're committed, man. And then on top of that, we just enjoy like the parenting side. So whatever you want to touch on both, with it, whichever one you want to speak on. Yeah. Let's just kind of like get into that.
I'll start on the commitment piece, because I feel like that's
That's probably a big area that a lot of people struggle in.
Right. And
vice versa for a guy, but I really want to do the guy side, you know, where they understand like where we're coming from.
And I feel like especially in our position where we're like going to beauty events and going to all these different places and we're like these influencers, you know, with followers and things like that, the commitment piece is even more important because with our women, we can't do anything even in the slightest to like embarrass them, make them look dumb, ruin their brand. But even outside of that, just as far as being a man, I really just had to take a step back and look, and I'm like, this is my wife. This is the mother of my children. You know, she supports me. This is my queen. Like, she does so much for me. What more could I get? Like, what more is there to obtain from a woman?
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing else that any other woman can provide for me that my wife cannot.
Right.
And especially not to the level that my wife can. And I'm not even speaking on like a physical or sexual manner, just like what she does for me mentally. There's no other woman that could do that for me, regardless if we're having the best sex in the world. Like, it's not gonna, it's cool. Like,
now, sometimes people do refer to the sex part because they don't feel like they want to commit to somebody for the rest of their life because they're not going to be able to have anybody else. And I think they got it all wrong too, because there's a lot more like aspects to it. Like, for me, literally, like, sex isn't even the biggest thing for me. Like, it's great, but at the same time, it's not something that I depend on for our relationship to be good.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of young-minded
mentality. Yeah, for sure. But, you know, I mean, it's good that we're on the same page as that, because, you know, that's what Blanca does for me as well. You know, there's a lot more things that go into play. On top of that, she's a great mom. She's always held it down for me. She's always supported me. And I'm big on even something you said earlier about you still allowing her to be her. That's the same way that I approach things with Blanca, because I told her at the end of the day, we're together, we're this team, but we're still our own individual selves, and we want to be able to still continue to like do whatever we want to do. I never want to hold you back from everything. There's a level of respect there, and trust, which is like super important in relationships, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, the trust is the biggest piece, because once you have that trust in your relationship and that common understanding that like, you are my person, we're going to be together forever, and regardless of how upset I am, like, she knows that we can get into the biggest fight. I can go on a guy's trip and she's not going to be worried that I'm going to do something just because we argue. Like, I'm not doing things out of spite. Like, this is still my woman. And really just once I had that mindset, I feel like life just became easier. Like, you no longer have those temptations. You no longer have those thoughts, because I know in my head it doesn't get better than what I have.
That's funny. We were talking about that the other day, you know, and I told her that she said something about girls, and I'm like, man, trust me, that's like the last thing on my mind. You know, like, I'm not even looking I'm not even saying looking, because naturally as humans, both girls and guys, that's just normal, right?
You're gonna look,
that's it. But as far as the other side of it, where you're actually looking to get something, that's like not even in the picture. And on top of that too, man, I mean, shit, there's so many other things that we're worried about, man. That's like should be like the last thing. And I think, you know, a lot of things go into a relationship, and there's so many missing pieces, man. So let's just say, what are some important things for you, you know, to keep things well? You guys been together for a minute. We've been together for a minute. So let's just get into that. Like, what's some of the secrets to keeping things, you know, going well?
Honestly, I think just keeping those open line of communication. I know that that's like a cliche thing to say, is communication, but really is super important. Like,
it's like a bunch of brackets under that, right?
Yeah, because there's a lot of different type of forms of communication, and really it's just like, I tell my wife everything. Like, when people say that, like, it's your best friend, like, she truly is my best friend, and I'll tell her everything, no matter if, you know, some guys might, like, I tell her things that some guys might try and hide from their wives or things like that, but like, we just have that we have that openness to where we can talk and we can work our way through things. And so having that and knowing that I can go to you and I can tell you things without you blowing up or going crazy, and we can have a conversation, it just makes life so much easier. It makes navigating through life so much easier, because I'm not hesitating and second guessing, like, oh, well, can I do this? Can I do that? Like, we know, you know, where we stand because we communicate.
Right.
And I think, allowing your partner to have, like, to still be able to do the things that they want to do is very important. And I don't know if this is toxic or bad to say, but feeding your man's ego is important in a relationship.
I think it is. Yeah, I like that you said that, man. That's a important thing, and let's really break it down, because I feel the same way, and I think naturally, like in general in the world, people feel like guys should not deal with certain things. They shouldn't be told certain things. Now, we're not the kind of people, you know, and I'm speaking for myself, but I'm guessing you're the same, that we're gonna like go and feel all some type of way if somebody tells us a compliment, like especially coming from a wife. I mean, I feel like we need to be told those things sometimes.
Right.
Just makes us be better in general.
Mm-hmm. And it's like you can hear 1,000 times from followers and from family that, you know, you're doing good, but when it's coming from that one person in your life that truly, like, it truly matters from, which is your wife.
Yeah, that's what we do it for, you know.
Yeah, like that really means a lot. And I just feel like allowing your man to be or feel like a man, you know, regardless of what your situation is, regardless of who's making more, regardless of who's paying more of the bills or whatever the case may be. If your man is taking care of you and making you feel safe, then you should be making him feel like a man, and vice versa. I feel like a man should be treating their woman like a queen, regardless of the situation. You know, it's just a common respect.
For sure, man. Yeah, that's big. I think people will definitely enjoy hearing that. And I think there's so much toxic shit that goes on in relationships, and a lot of people, they draw these boundaries with a lot of these things, and that's why the unhappiness starts, you know. And I see so many problems here and there, and sometimes I wonder, shit, well, what really is the key? But I think just having that open communication with each other and supporting each other, complimenting each other, helping each other out, those all play a big role. Now, moving forward into like parenting, man, I know sometimes kids are like the make it or break it thing supposedly for people, but you know, I feel like that's stupid. I think, you know, if you're with somebody and you're committed, like you should be there to help them. You guys did this together, and you want to be equally as part of the kid's life as your wife is. So what's your take on that?
I feel like when it comes to kids, as well as like taking care of the house and home, I think that's whoever is like a part of that, if whatever two people were a part of making the kid, or whatever two people were a part of making this house a home, it's both people's job and responsibilities to do both of those things.
Yeah, there's no picking and choosing. Like, what's your turn?
And it's like, you know? It's like, even if you have a job outside of the house and your kids, and I understand that, you know, it's tough sometimes working a job, coming home, but your wife or your partner did not ask to just have this child on their own. Yeah. So regardless of, I know it might be tough coming home from a 12-hour shift, 16-hour shift or whatever, but to come home and change a diaper or two, or, you know, do the dishes or do something to like take the load off of whoever was at home taking care of the children, or doing whatever, you know, they were doing while you were at work. I feel like that's very important, because everybody's mental health is important.
Yeah, definitely, man. And that's what it leads to. And I think sometimes the guys do complain a lot about, well, you know, I'm the one paying all this, so like there's the least you could do. But that's just such a bad thing to have. It's such a old school mentality. I hate when I hear that, man, because I know how involved I am and the things that I do. And it's not like we're sitting here writing down everything and we deserve a prize for it. But we're not sitting here counting favors. Like, we're just doing the stuff because that's just in us. You know, as man, as a dad, as a husband. So, you know, I do applaud you for that. You know, it's just such a big thing that I think, you know, a lot of people lack. So I'm big on that. I was gonna say something else now that you're mentioning just doing the man shit, man. So how do you separate still doing your own stuff and keeping yourself happy? Like, what are some hobbies you're into? You know, sometimes we get so caught up in being a husband and being a dad that we don't really make the time for ourselves. I think I'm starting to kind of like figure out the things that help me like decompress at the end of the night, sometime in the day, self-care, time to yourself. What do you think?
I mean, so really my only two daytime hobbies lately have been going to the gym and going to the golf range. So those two things are really like my me time. And I know some people, they can't view the gym necessarily as like a relaxation and me time. It just depends on like your relationship with the gym and working out.
For sure.
But me personally, it's been, you know, my personal time, my away time. It's like my hour and a half to 2 hours to just be by myself, listen to what I want to, and, you know, I'm not with my wife, not with my kids, and it gives me time to miss shark. Both. Yeah, right. And it gives me time to miss both of them, and I come home, you know, with an appreciation for them because I was away from them, and I think that's important. Is leaving the house. I know as much as we want to get alone time, like in our man cave or wherever you want to go to, like But leaving the house and having that silence and giving time to miss and appreciate your family is important.
For sure.
And then at nighttime, I always have like at least 30 minutes to an hour just to myself to, play the game or catch up on shows or listen to podcasts or, do whatever it is I might want to do to end my night. But me and my wife always give each other at least that 30 minutes to an hour of just being separate. And then we come together to end our night and go to sleep.
Yeah, a little bit of pillow talk here and there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, throughout the day, we're definitely both parents and stuff, and we're both about our businesses. But there is that fine line of time to yourself and also time with each other and all that. So that brings up the topic of making time for each other with kids, man. I know a lot of people complain about that. They don't really prioritize it. So what are just a few tips that you recommend for anybody maybe struggling with that? How can they communicate with their partner about that? How can they make the time? And it doesn't even have to necessarily be a whole ass date, because I feel that just because you're at home doesn't mean you're spending time together.
Right.
You're just in the same room, but how can you really like create that connection, which I think eventually leads to a better relationship if you are maybe like going through like a dark cloud.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Right. I mean, one of the biggest things Nas and I talk about for new parents and just parents in general is that I feel like a lot of them have kids and then they think that their kids are the number one priority. And that is true. They are a priority, but your partner is and should be your number one priority. Yeah. That is the only person in your life that you chose to be in your life.
Yeah.
You don't pick your parents, you don't pick your kids, but you pick your partner.
Yeah, so I agree on that, man. I'm actually like for that, and my wife's actually for that as well. Like, trust me, our kids are our top priority too, but we understand that before the kids we were boyfriend, girlfriend, husband and wife, and we're mindful of that. And I think that's really a big one for me, because it allows us to still take each other accountable, hold each other accountable on like the things that we should do together and stuff like that. And and just spending time together, man, whether it's watching a movie, taking a drive, having lunch. It doesn't always have to be dinner, you know what I mean? Right. We're still working, but we could go out and do something. So
because your kids feed off the energy and the love that goes on between your parents.
Yeah,
they watch all the things. They watch the amount of affection, the amount of love that you're giving to them. Obviously, they may not voice it, but they're definitely watching it.
Oh yeah, Max is my biggest cock blocker.
Yeah,
actually.
Right.
Is that came on too? Like, you guys be competing with Nas or what?
I mean, definitely more so now that he's. I feel like he's at the point where he understands now that there's a baby in her belly.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of times now, if I like hug Nas or I'm like kissing her, he'll come up like my mommy or my babies and like kiss her baby. And obviously we think it's so cute now. And
I see your daughter, bro. She'll for sure, like, Nas is gonna start getting jealous. Put it like that.
Yeah, I'm that's what I'm super excited for, is having my daughter. I know eventually my son's gonna grow up and become a mama's boy.
Yeah.
So I know I'll have my girl that's gonna be obsessed with me, and I can teach her, what love is. And
the girls never leave you, man. The girls never leave you, and on top of that too, it's just a different kind of. You're gonna feel it. Like Camila definitely was a little slower to it, but I just feel like her development has just been slow in general. Yeah. But she's definitely catching up now. And, as far as like my parenting with them, it's different. Like they respect me. They know what time it is whenever like I want them to do something or I say no. So I do appreciate that. They get away with a lot more with Blanca, but at the same time, she butts heads a little bit more with Camila because she just isn't used to dealing with somebody that's going against her. Max is a lot easier to deal with in general, and Camila's just the one that's like clashing. You know? They're two Leos, bro. So you could just imagine, that they're just not. They're the top one. Like their presence is felt. So it's just funny. And then with me, I'm an Aquarius, so I'm just like
super chill.
I get along with everybody. You know,
my dad and my sister are Aquarius.
Yeah,
so I know how.
How was it growing up for you, man? As far as like your parents go, like what did they do? How was your childhood? I usually like to touch a little bit on that just because I feel like that has a lot to do with how we are now. Yeah. So just like, something brief.
I mean, I feel like my childhood, I don't really have anything to complain about. I was blessed to have both my parents in my life, and they've been happily married for 20 plus years. I can't put my finger on the exact number right now, but they've been together since my mom was in 8th grade, like going into freshman year. They got together like that
Very
summer.
Young. That's not even high school sweethearts. That's so kids.
Yeah, so I've always seen that, and that's why Nas and I get married young wasn't something that was like weird to me. Like I've seen my parents be together for years, like, and I've always wanted that, like, to be able to say in the future, like, yeah, we've been together 26 years. You know, like that just sounds so nice to me.
Yeah, it sounds good.
And, you know, I had a great relationship with both my parents. Obviously, we butt heads over things here and there. Like me and my dad, we would butt heads a lot because he was my coach and trainer for most of my life. And so
that happens.
It was a little bit hard growing up sometimes to separate the conversations of like, all right, like we're away from basketball now. Like, let's just talk about, you know, stuff that doesn't have to do with my future or my career or things all the time. And so I definitely took note of that with my dad. And, you know, that's something that I want to avoid with Kayvon. I just want to be his dad. I don't really want to coach him or train him too much, especially being out here in California. We have literally connections to some of the top trainers. So I definitely prefer for him to like just do that. Then we can come home and it's just all about family.
Right. I'd rather be in the bleachers watching, you know?
Exactly. And I mean, it's great being that dad that's there, that's like right on the sideline, like cheering him on. But then it also can be tough as like the kid, you know, to have your dad that involved because, you know, every time you miss, like you feel like you're disappointing them or letting them down, and you're like looking in the bleachers and they're like, you know, face palming and things like that. So it's like, you know, it's definitely a double-edged sword. But other than that, you know, I had a great upbringing. Like my parents were, you know, pretty lenient. As long as I did everything I needed to do, I cleaned when I was supposed to. My grades were good. There was really nothing that my parents wouldn't allow me to do. So they're pretty cool, you know, upbringing, and the fact that I'm still close with them. My parents are pretty young. They're like in their early 40s as well.
Yeah, I saw you post your dad, look like your brother.
Yeah, I get that a lot. So, I mean, I think that also helped with our communication is that we grew up together pretty much.
That's dope. I think something you brought up is dope to hear that they've been together for a long time. My parents been together for a long time too. Of course, there's always going to be issues here and there, but you still see them fight through that. And even when there isn't the best communication, I feel like I took that in the opposite way, where I actually was like, that's my top priority, speaking even to what you said. So I think the parenting does have a lot to do with stuff. And if not, you know, you have to kind of be around people and be an open book to listening and trying to be better and be maybe a better version of what you grew up seeing, you know. So that's key to me.
I think people should strive to be a better version of their parents, regardless of them being a good or bad parent.
Exactly. There's always something that you could improve on. Right. And, you know, but I'm blessed too, man. Have a good relationship with both of them. You know, I am. Do you have siblings or no?
Yeah, I have one little sister.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
She's about to graduate at the end of this month, so shout out to her.
Okay. So she's not too little.
No, she's 9 years younger than me.
Okay. What does she do in college?
She's just about to graduate high school.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. That's dope, man. So just moving forward, like let's talk a little bit about like what you got coming up, anything people should look out for. I do want to tag your brand. I do love the hoodie that you gave us, the Saturn Boy brand. So I'm going to tag it on the link down below.
Okay.
And just kind of explain like where that's at right now, what's coming, maybe some other stuff you're going to get into.
Yeah, so with my brand Saturn Boy, I just took like a break at the start of this year just to get my mind right. I feel like when I started it last year, I not necessarily rushed into it, but I was like, okay, I want to start a brand, and I just like jumped right into it. I didn't really go through, you know, I feel like I didn't put in my 10,000 hours to, you know, per se. Like I wasn't extremely knowledgeable. I didn't really know too much about fabrics and cuts and all this stuff. I just was like, I have a following. I have people who want to buy stuff. Let's put it out.
Yeah. It ain't that easy.
Yeah, sure. and so I really wanted to take time off and really focus on what direction I wanted to take the brand and what pieces I really wanted to make and why those pieces were going to be meaningful to me and things like that, and really take time to understand what it means to really like have a brand and how it is to make clothes and do all of this stuff. And I feel like once you kind of take those extra steps to really educate yourself, things are a lot easier.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Things come a little bit easier rather than just jumping into it and being like, well, this is something that's not that hard. Like you can get a hoodie made by anybody. Like
no.
There's so much more that goes into it, especially nowadays with social media. Like, and that's the one thing, once I do roll my brand back out and we start going hard again this year, that I really want to focus on my Instagram and the way that it looks.
Right. The aesthetic for sure. I'm with you 100%, just because, you know, I always talk about it. The Act of Faith brand, it is very similar to yours. Like there's way more to it than just slapping a name on something. And this is the reason why, guys, like everything that Mel explained, this is the kind of stuff that really makes the brand different. Of course, there's 1,000 brands online that are gonna, you know, more so have something similar, but educating, you know, yourself is such a big one for me, because that's what I've been recently doing. And now I feel like I could just do it like nothing, you know, but I studied more so like the fabrics and everything you could think of, man, from A to Z.
Because you realize that once you have conversations with people in that world and they ask you a question, you're like,
what's that?
I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I just thought that this was a cut and sew hoodie. That's all I've heard.
I'm talking about like weight. You know what I mean? So like everything that goes into it. And that's why the next stuff that's coming for AOF is just going to be so much better, you know, because I'm behind it 100% now. I'm making all these behind the scenes things happen. My wife's loving everything that I've been putting together so far. And it is a fine line, because you want it to be for women too, you know? So just expect some good stuff. But, you know, Saturn Boy is dope. The stuff that you have came out with. I'm going to tag it, like I said, so you could, you know, have these guys check it out. And maybe we should do a giveaway, man. If you still got some stuff laying around.
I definitely have some.
Yeah. Let's do something. Maybe it'll probably be here on the YouTube if you guys comment. If you guys made it this far, you know, we like to keep the giveaway stuff towards the end, because I want to make sure that you guys listen to everything and understand the person behind the brand and all that stuff. So we're going to be doing a giveaway. We'll give away whatever it is that you have. What do you have? Shirts, hoodies?
I got a couple hoodies,
Okay, let's do a hoodie, and then we'll do like some active face stuff. So we'll put a nice package together for you guys. All you guys have to do is comment your favorite part of this video, and then let's say hashtag Saturn Boy or something like that.
Okay.
Saturn Boy AOF. Just put that, and then we're gonna actually do a giveaway, send you guys something nice. So we'll just kind of end it with that, man. You know, loved everything you talked about. You got some cool stuff with Saturn Boy, so just keep it up, and just keep being you, man. I think that's all I could really say. You know, like a dad, husband, everything. You know, I like to really make sure that I give people their props when they're doing those things, because there's not many of us left in this world, brother.
Yeah, definitely not, man. But I think that there's a new wave of men that we're really starting to wake up and realize, like, the way that we've been thinking, the way and some of the things that we were taught are toxic, and we need to unlearn those things and re-educate and you know, gain new knowledge on a lot of stuff, because there's things that we were to ask our dads or, you know, ask our grandpas, you know, some of these things, they would lose their shit, you know what I mean? So
that's like a big no-no, supposedly.
Yeah,
you know?
So I think that us really continuing to advocate for being a dad and being there for your wife no matter what it is, and breaking down those walls of masculinity, I think is important.
Yeah, definitely, man. Just evolving, period, you know? So I did see you bring the wine bottle. So talk to me about that real quick. I know that that's something we're talking about, the, I guess you can say, hobby, free time to yourself. That's something that you kind of decompress with, just kind of like to enjoy. The cigars too.
Yeah, cigars.
I like the cigars a lot.
Wine. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I feel like wine was just something where I got to a point with alcohol where I'm like what is the purpose of me like taking hella shots at this point in my life? Like I don't understand the point of me, like, unless I'm like doing it for a reason, but just on like a regular night, if I'm going out to dinner, like, you know, I just wanted something to sip on with my meal, something that would put me at the right level. And I feel like wine was that for me. And it's just something that you can get one glass and you don't have to drink wine with the intentions of getting drunk or getting crazy. You can just drink it socially, have a good conversation. And by the time the conversation's over, you have a nice little buzz, or you might be feeling it a little bit. And to me, it's just a way more quality, like drunk level, I guess you could say. For sure. You know, so
it's a different kind. I feel like it's a little bit slower, but it's good.
Yeah.
So which are your, let's say, top three you recommend? I know you have this one here now.
Yeah, so this is a Cabernet. I don't really have a top three as far as like bottles, because I don't think that I've been drinking it long enough to really know like this is for sure a top three. You know what I mean? Like there's so many. There's some that I'll drink and I'm like, this is great, and then I'll drink another one. I'm like, this is great, and then I'll drink one. You know, so I'm just like, I'm still at the beginner stage. I feel like almost, but I just know that Cabernets are my favorite. Like a Cabernet or a Malbec.
You're speaking another language to me right now, but I'm gonna definitely check them out.
Cabernet is red. It is a red. It's usually a little bit stronger. It's not very sweet, but it goes well with pretty much any meal.
Yeah, because even with meals, yeah, for sure, I do see people do that, and I know that it complements whatever it is that you guys are eating and stuff. When we did have a date night, like a double date, I did see that you picked one, so I'm trying to get on that. The cigars I do like. I recently picked them up, but they're just dope. I feel like it's a treat. I don't do it. Trust me, guys, we're not smoking this shit every night.
No, definitely not.
You know, and it has to be at the right time and
it's a social thing
and occasion.
Right.
We got to go out to the cigar lounge, by the way.
Yeah,
we got to do something. Have you been to anything nearby?
No, the cigar lounges I don't really frequent too much, just because like I'm usually like just by myself for the most part.
You can do that at home. You know?
So I was like, I just do it at home.
We'll end up with that, man. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Congratulations on the twins. So shout out to Mel. Good luck with everything, man.
Yeah, appreciate
your time. See you guys next time. Peace.